Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm assuming if you're here because you're interested in LinkedIn as a place for growth, for relationship building, for revenue, for content generation. Well, let me tell you, you're in the perfect place because I've been spending 7 months or so on LinkedIn and I posted for about 4 months without really any direction. I just wanted to create the habit of posting every day. And after that, I really started to take a more direct approach. And now I'm in testing stages. And I've also been in a lot of learning opportunities. So I've collected all my information and I'm ready to provide it in a way that is relevant to us founders and speakers out there. So I'm going to walk you through what I've been up to. So, number one, oh, here we go. There's a good reason why I'm going all in on LinkedIn because maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. There's 2 billion users on LinkedIn, and only 1% of those 2 billion create content more than twice a week, twice or more a week on LinkedIn. That means that there is a bunch of people here passively scrolling, engaging, and not posting themselves. So this is like YouTube in 2005, 2008, whatever it was, where the people who were there early really took massive growth. Now, there was a phase of that where it was like pretty easy to get growth. Now it's kind of into that second stage of early adopters where you're still in a great opportunity. No reason you shouldn't be here. But, if you wait too long, it's going to be in that point like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube where everybody's fighting so hard. But that doesn't demean the fact that you need crazy value. Other than that, there's a crazy amount of decision makers on LinkedIn, as you can see, and a lot of the crickets you might experience after posting and posting and posting. Suddenly, you'll get a sale, and you're about to quit. You're on the verge of stopping the dig before you hit the goal. You need to compound your trust, and that takes time. And it takes short form, and then maybe you convert it to long form. But when we're talking about LinkedIn here, there is a way to go about it that makes sense. So let me tell you why you should listen to me. Like I said, I'm a founder, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm in the absolute depth of I'm tired of posting without understanding this. So I'm running experiments across every platform: YouTube, Substack, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. I'm there. I'm constantly ready to learn because I'm showing up. So after my 6-week test on Instagram, I ended up generating 1.3 million views. Let me tell you, the things I learned was crazy. It's really interesting what you learn once you turn it on, once you really want to understand the science behind why this works. And there is a science, and if you understand it, you can win. So, like I said, I've got my storytelling background. I'm approaching everything with a psychological background because it's so interesting to me. And more than visuals, but writing, storytelling. How can we really capture a user, convert them, and everything else? And I'm consistently testing. So if you really want to follow along, I would recommend following along on LinkedIn or also checking out the blog periodically, because here we're putting things out that are just idea generators for founders and storytellers and speakers. Now, the last thing to note is once I turned it on for LinkedIn, it's really interesting that things really started to come my way. My pipeline's full. Once I took a shift of just posting randomly and shifting towards my niche, I don't have a lot of followers. I don't have a lot of action going on, but suddenly it's like business just, so the thing isn't just LinkedIn. Like, I'm not saying all these inquiries are coming from LinkedIn, but once you take a step in the right direction to how you show up online, that knowledge and practice compounds across every area of your business. So this is not just how to show up on LinkedIn. This is how to show up in general for business. And let me tell you, it works. So first things first is we have to understand that LinkedIn is a business. In fact, it's, I believe, a $14 billion business. It was acquired by Microsoft in 2014, 2016, something like that. So it has a very high incentive to customize and create the highest quality product for its users, to keep them there, to spend more time on the app, to purchase Sales Navigator or see. I don't know that they do many ads. They do ads. You see what I'm saying? So they also invest tons of money into optimizing the platform, and most important, how to weed out the shit content. And we'll get into more of that later, that are competing in this game. Now that we understand that LinkedIn has an interest in this entire game theory of social media, I have a blog post on that as well if you're interested in learning more about that. This is just a brief intro. The creators and the consumers are the other two characters that are kind of playing along and feeding into this big engine. So consumers are hoping to seek insights and learning. We've become professional scrollers, like we said, so we can kind of sense ingenuine content really fast. So can you imagine how quickly we scroll past it? And no person's that's consuming wants another sales pitch. Nobody likes getting a knock at the door for a roofing sale. Nobody likes getting sold, period. So you have to figure out a way to show up and not be so direct about it, and show up with true intentions of creating and fostering a community and providing relentless value. So that's where it comes to the creator. The creator wants to win. They want an audience. They want a way to convert that audience into sales. So these are kind of the three main players in the game of LinkedIn. And without understanding that, you won't know exactly how to show up and please the other two, the consumers and the platform. All right, so we all know what it's like. For me, I used to show up and it just felt random. I was just posting about random stories throughout the day. Maybe it wasn't even relevant to business, or it wasn't relevant to anything that the consumers wanted to see. I wasn't sure about what post timing worked. I didn't understand the algorithm. And I honestly just felt like I was wasting a ton of my time. But that was before I started taking a look at any of this social media game like a strategy, or like a scientist, I should say. So, like we said, there was recently a shift. As I found out, there was recently a shift in the way that the algorithm worked. And previously, it was really based on your own network that you already had. And if you showed early engagement, it pushed that out to more individuals. There used to be what's called engagement pods, where there was like a community that would be like, hey, send the link to your posts here. And if we all engage with them as soon as it goes out, we'll help grow each other's pages. So then lastly, it didn't give smaller accounts a chance to breathe or be shown to anyone. So there was kind of an issue that LinkedIn pictured with this for many reasons. And this is when I'm saying that, like, the people who got in early, like YouTube in 2008, this is the same thing. The people who got in early, and if you just showed up, you were able to grow an audience. Now, LinkedIn had to change it for the better because it couldn't provide the helpful content to the people who wanted to see it. Younger professionals left. It wasn't sustainable. And LinkedIn had to start catering its business model and its algorithm to the more future looking outcomes. So the most important thing that I want to note here is it had to prepare itself for the younger professionals that are coming onto the page. So this is Gen Z, and this is the people who are used to TikTok and Instagram Reels and the really quick dopamine, but also the dialed algorithm that directly feeds into who they are, their identity, their persona. They don't find much content that they're not interested in when they're scrolling. So with the old algorithm that LinkedIn was using, it was pushing just a bunch of random crap out there that they didn't care for. So people left the app. So with more content of AI, it really had to start dialing in what is useful, because the AI, if you post on enough, you surface more. But really, no one wants to see AI content. You can sniff it out. So sorry you can't see this. So now the distribution is similar to what you want to see. So what you write about, what you post about, the keywords that are nearby, your headline, what you comment on, all play into this like database that LinkedIn acknowledges as you. So you really have to kind of be dialed in about what you're engaging with, what you're writing about. So like we said, it uses a detailed user persona based on signals, so profile data. I'm going to show you some examples of these. Literally the stuff you write about. So you'll write about being a founder and suddenly you'll see the suggested posts out there that are other founders. What you engage with, of course, and who you engage with. So there's an interesting thing that I want to show you here. So this is my LinkedIn profile. And it's Christmas time, and I took a break for kind of the month of December, so there's not much going on here. But you need to get dialed in. So this area is very important. This banner is free advertising, and if you don't optimize it so that the person who looks at it is curious to scroll, then you're missing out on countless opportunities. You need to seriously nail this. And guess what? This is the first thing people see when you're in the comment section. So this especially line needs to hit the identity that you're looking for as a community. Then you want to add kind of a point of authority. I have a whole guide that I'll provide a link for in the description on how to optimize this area. Then the other thing is your about section. So if you can implement just a bunch of keywords that are relevant to who you are and what you do. So I've got storytelling, branding, creative media. I'm a producer, keynote speaker, cinematic, mission, truth, and brand is all over here. Personal brand and founder is all over that. Then the last one that I didn't know about until recently is interests. So it's kind of showing me who do I interact with the most. And funny enough, there's not always aligned with who I want to be put in front of. So that's something I need to get a little more dialed in on who I'm commenting with. So founder, good. Premium branding, good. That's very aligned. Solopreneurs, that's pretty. LinkedIn branding, yeah, that's good for me. I don't know, $10 million solopreneur, yeah, that's relevant. I don't know about this. Where companies go to get noticed. So founder, brands, culture, and marketing. As you can see, they're all pretty relevant to who I am, but I don't know if there's a way to edit your interests or if you just kind of build that up with your own interactions. And I guess while we're here, show you my featured section. You should not be featuring your posts. I know I have one here, but when you're scrolling on a phone, you can see one link. Otherwise, you have to scroll. And on a desktop, you can see 3. But these are prime real estate for you to get your people off the app into a free resource and kind of generate more trust through long form content or, like I said, a free resource. So here's a free 15-minute brand discovery call. You can spend 15 minutes with me. This is a long form post. I plan to change these two out. The resources just aren't quite ready yet. So that's something that's interesting. So as you can see, this is your main homepage. Well, whatever, you know that. So you kind of get the point. You need to really dial in what you're posting about. And if you're someone who like serves a different industry than you're in, then that's kind of a problem. Like I am a marketer, but if I just said that straight away, I would not be pushed in front of the other people I'm trying to serve, which are founders and speakers. So instead, I chose to make founders and branding and leaders bake it into a bunch of my content to try and show up. Oh, and the other thing I didn't realize was, hopefully it brings us here. So this page, the LinkedIn page that you work for, the company that you work for, it also utilizes this. What category does it serve? And that's also providing information to the LinkedIn gods about who to serve so this is telling it to provide my information to more marketing people. But really I want to service founders. So that's just a bit about that. There's three upon a bunch of resources, upon a bunch of research, I found that there's kind of three types of content that gets lifted. One being job opportunities. Obviously, that's one of the main reasons LinkedIn exists. So if you post a posting about a job, it is like almost guaranteed that it's going to get a lift. Now, there are no guarantees, but there's a good chance because LinkedIn is great at spotting what content is about. And side note, hashtags aren't relevant anymore because it's smart enough to read the content of the post and analyze what it's saying. So no need for hashtags. They look spammy anyway. Body. Career milestones are another big one. Promotions, new positions, achievements. You can't just say that you got married on that. That's not going to be the same. It should be related to kind of business. And then helpful insights. This is what we want to really focus on in our daily interaction and daily content that we're putting out into the world. It's going to be 95% helpful insights. So we just need to nail that value. All right. So here are some common questions that I had and that I've heard talking peer to peer with other founders about showing up on LinkedIn. So, big one is, does posting time matter? At the end of the day, if you have a very valuable piece of content, it should perform. But there is something to say with the first hour of your post is pretty much critical. You need engagement in that first hour for it to be pushed out to more people because there's, I'm sure, I don't know how many posts every single minute, right? So it's going to prioritize the ones that are giving signals of early success. That being said, if you post, there's certain times of the day where we're busy or we're sleeping. So 12 a.m., I'm not posting. I've tried it. Not gonna happen. I've posted at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. and I actually got some traction early on from my network over in Europe. And then with that early traction, it kind of boosted it a little bit more with my network in America. So that was very interesting to think about. But like I said, you kind of want to be consistent about it because your audience that you show up with and interact with back and forth, and like the friends you make who support each other, all kind of show up at a consistent time. So if you are doing that repeatedly, you could show up for each other and give each other that initial boost as well as your network. Frequency, it matters. It will accelerate your wins and your learning and give you more data to learn from. But I would much rather see someone post higher quality twice a week compared to noise every single day. And like at the beginning of my experience, that's exactly what I was doing. Sometimes I felt really rushed. I didn't feel good about it. You should feel good in your gut about a post. And listen, a valuable post takes a long time. I mean, sometimes it takes me 2 to 3 hours to dial in exactly what I want to say to LinkedIn. And, by that point, I'm exhausted. But the post performs. It does a lot better because you wrote a killer story. What percentage of people are willing to put that amount of effort into that value of that post, right? So I'd rather see 2 compared to 6. Because just showing up and creating a reputation of repeat noise and this person never has really much value to say, I'm not going to ever interact or stop the scroll when they're there. That's not good. So your reputation's huge. Does video get prioritized? Video is actually very interesting. I haven't experimented too much, but from what I've heard out there in the world is that it's been flopping recently. And I even had a little tab on my mobile app, at least for the video only, but that has since gone away. I think that they're still trying to figure out how to integrate it into the platform with smooth user experience. But I know that it's definitely up there in their priorities because there's a lot of conversion of trust through video. And it also definitely fits the young generation that is moving onto the platform. Like I mentioned earlier, hashtags do not matter. It's smart enough to understand the content of the post and provide that to the people who it's relevant to. Personal posts, listen, you should absolutely be personal. Like, you want to make sure that you're creating this human connection throughout everything, but it shouldn't just be out there as a sob story. And I've experimented with that as well. I've put some things out there that maybe it wasn't relevant to business at all, but you never know if you don't try. And at the very least, people understanding a little bit more about you. But that being said, a strictly personal story is not going to get very great reach, especially because LinkedIn sees it as kind of irrelevant. It's not really, if it's not adding to the value of that one player, which is the consumer, LinkedIn's not going to show it to more consumers. So half the time our personal stories aren't relevant, but it is up to us to format the narrative in a way that is relevant to business and to our consumers. Absolutely, you need to be engaging with others' content. First of all, you need to pay to play a little bit. One, you need to pay into the platform and show the platform that you utilize it too. You can't just post and ghost. It's not going to work. But number two, some of my early engagement really came from the initial friends I made. And like I was mentioning with posting time, there was kind of just a crew of people that you just mutually comment back at each other. And listen, at the beginning, if they weren't fully aligned with the niche and target that I was going for, and that's probably my mistake, something you can learn from early on. So you should absolutely engage and create these two-way relationships, and bring it into the DMs and get to know them. But your primary goal should be to make friends. You should not be selling. There should not be an ounce. Your first sentence, your first message should never have sales pitch in it. We read right through it. Nobody's interested. So there's people out there who really want to peer to peer, that want to make friends and support each other. So go after that first. And then the other thing about engagement is you should be engaging with accounts that are more successful than you, but you should not be engaging with Alex Hermosi or the people who are just blown away, because engagements and comments, I have some comments with thousands and thousands, 30,000 impressions. And that was one instance where I commented on a really big creator. But the reason why you should show up in the comment section of a creator in your industry and niche that's slightly bigger than you is because they have an audience that's already built up and targeted towards yours. And if you leave a comment with an open-ended question to the person who wrote the post, it's going to get a reply, because that's an incentive. It's incentivized. Oh my gosh. There's an incentive for the creator of that post to comment back and keep the engagement going on the post. That means that your post will get more views because the person who created the post is interacting with it. So if you can get that back and forth going, you can rank higher. And then if you provide the value in the comment sections, you might convert the people to follow you. And like I said here, your headline is the first thing that people see. So this is going to be really vital that you nail this, so that when you are showing up in the comment sections of your relative peers, people are understanding exactly what you do in a second and actually have a reason to click. And then when they click, this better be dang good so that they scroll and that they see you're featured and see what you do and maybe read about you. So that's very important. All right, on to 3 elements I include in every single post. 1, an authority signal, something worth listening to. Why should I listen to this person? So there's 3 examples I can for sure give you. 1 is a story or a case study experience that you've lived through. So if you can provide like the situation that you've walked through truly in life, never make this up, never lie. People will see right through it. If you're not speaking from truth and like with the details that are relevant, it's not going to look good and it doesn't feel good. So that is 1. Another one is borrowed authority. So if you take a quote from Alex Hermosi or some other person who's large in your space, you place that into your text, you're borrowing their authority, because I'm going to tell you about the exposure effect right now. This applies in multiple ways, but the more we see something, the more familiar it is, the more of an attachment we create to it, and the more we prefer it. So if I see Alex Hermosi's post and I understand his authority, and then you're attaching that to your face, that's a great thing. I've already know him. I already like Alex, and now I like you a slight bit better. But that also applies to Here, I realized I had a slide for this, so we're going to jump to this really quick. The exposure effect. Like I was saying, they trust what they recognize. This is directly correlated to your account too. So going back to the commenting thing, if people see your face and name in the comment sections of the people that they always interact with, you're just creating this name for yourself in this world. And even if they didn't follow you on the first, the second, the third, or the fourth view, listen, it's going to take 7 to 20 reps. That's the science behind that recognition. It takes us 7 to 20 touch points to understand make a connection in our brain of this person, this name with this industry or this service. That's why it's important to show up often as you can, as in as many ways across the World Wide Web. So as you can see here, profile, clicks, follower conversion, message replies, and many other things. It may take days, weeks, months, years, but it is worth it to keep showing up. Okay, let's jump back to originality. If the post could have been generated by AI or written by anybody else, don't post it. It has to be uniquely yours in some way, shape, or form. So just a quick actual hack that I have is I have an original engine agent that I always kind of reference with things. So a lot of the time when you're writing a post using AI, which I absolutely do to speed up your flow, but there's some lines in there that are just like, come on, chat, this is classic ChatGPT. I'm tired of this framework. I'm tired of this word. I keep seeing it over and over again. If you can create a unique and original way to say something, like a unique and original way to phrase something. Let me show you an example. All right, here we are. This is my Substack. So this is a newsletter I wrote out on Substack, and the quiet violence of ambition. You know what the initial chat output was? 3 negative things that happens when you're an ambitious person, or like why being ambitious is a negative thing. But these are all words and combinations that we've heard before. But this sticks out to me. And there's also a sense of the quiet violence of ambition, but like that's the complete opposite of that, seemingly an oxymoron. But it's very intriguing, right? So it kind of, you want things that throw people off the center of your trail, or that surprise people, I should really say. So that's one way to do it, and also your stories and your unique insight. And also just to note, like a generic post that's like 10 reasons founders fail. Well, and there's no uniqueness about the post compared to that chat, or compared to that generic output. If you have the words embedded in there, like my family member, my dog walking day, like these weird little small personal details, LinkedIn will kind of analyze that and see that and understand that this was written with a little bit more of a personal intent compared to this framework and content that's been reworked tens of thousands of millions of times over and over again on the internet. So don't even waste your time putting content out there if there's not a piece of your personality, originality in there. Then transferable insight. Simply, you want to provide value, create a transformation user. You want to give them something to hold on to, something to save, something to send to their friend. People share things because it makes them feel good or it makes them look smart. And of course, if you have this present and you speak to their identity, you can do that. You can get them to do so. So moving into the best performing media on LinkedIn, carousels are number one. Of course, I love scrolling on a good carousel, but don't make the mistake that I did. I was uploading carousels as JPEGs or PNGs for way too long to LinkedIn until a gracious individual in my network had told me, you should make these into carousels. In the comment section, I was like, it is a carousel. What are you talking about? She's like, no, they have to be PDF files. It would look like this if it's a carousel. And I looked, and I'm like, oh, wow, for months. Not that it was relevant. It wasn't working anyway because it wasn't aligned. But so make sure you upload as a PDF file. Number 2, infographic. If we can visualize the information, great. Photo post, if you can make it a selfie even, it will kind of bump up that performance a bit. Simple text posts, so just like literally the quote or the hook in writing will increase your chances. Listen, if you don't have a visual, you cut out another opportunity to have someone click into that post and be interested. So you could have one hook in the writing, but if you can provide the secondary hook in that visual, you just gave the reader two opportunities to create that interest in their mind. And that's something I would highly recommend you do, even if it's, this takes you 2 minutes. And this is what I tend to use, this, or I put simple text over a selfie or photo of me. That does a lot better than nothing. And I don't think I meant simple text on the images here. Then you'd probably rank like text only post fifth. But like I was saying, carousels take too much effort and time. I just won't waste my time on it anymore. Not that it's a waste, but I just can't fit it in. Then videos kind of next. Like I said, they don't really understand how video is going to work on LinkedIn yet, and polls apparently don't perform very well. I've never experimented with them myself, but that's what I hear in the game. But like I said, we're visual beings. If you can get a way to get your hook visual, put a number in there, create it bold, make sure there's sharp contrast, you get another chance to win. We are almost at the end. Thank you for spending the time with me. I hope that it's been helpful. I'm going to walk through my personal distribution strategy for 2026. But before I do that, I'm going to show you the thing that I didn't find out about until recently. And I'm sure that I knew this existed, but I had no idea this existed. I've never bought into the Sales Navigator platform personally or had the time to experiment with it. I hear it's a great resource, really, because it really figures out your leads and the people that you're interested in serving. But I want to do things organically. So, but as a part of that platform, anyone can access their social selling index, and that's like the visible behavior signals for LinkedIn. So I'm in the top 9%, allegedly. Top 20%. See, I'm not even fully understanding what it was, but I just wanted to let you know that it existed. But allegedly, it really doesn't mean anything with the algorithm. Like, what the algorithm is focused on is what you're putting out and the quality and who your identity is. And it's giving it to those same bubbles. This has nothing to do with the algorithm, but it is interesting to take a look at. So the link is www.linkedin.com/sales/SSI. Interesting to look at, but I'm honestly not going to let this bog me down, put any weight or stress on my mind. 48 out of 100 sounds terrible, but I'm really not worried about it. And the other thing is a private trust score. So we can access our private trust score with LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is keeping a record of our behavior of each user. And if it detects anything that's suspicious, especially bot behavior, it is not good for your private trust score. You need to be very careful, and you should absolutely not touch third-party tools that aren't preferred LinkedIn or verified LinkedIn partners. You need to protect your reputation on LinkedIn like it's everything. And don't waste the time on the bots because they're not going to do a good job anyway. It's not personal. It's not going to work the way that your real voice and authentic self can. So be very careful with this. Also, if you're spamming connection requests, that's kind of sending it body signals. So just be aware that it's keeping track. Like it knows what your behavior looks like, and it's smart enough to understand what is kind of unethical. So like I said, I'm going all in on content. I fully believe in it because after putting some effort into it in 2025 and experimenting at the tail end, I'm understanding it finally and ready to really make it work because it's working for my business. But the main reason why I believe in it is because the exposure effect and literally just creating connections between your face, your name, and your industry and building the trust faster than the other individuals can build trust. I don't know the stat exactly, but I believe that personal LinkedIn account posts, no matter the value, get like 5 times more reach, more exposure, more likes, comments, shares than LinkedIn company posts. That being said, put all of your energy into a personal brand. If you can have a face at the name of your business, do it, do it, do it, because people buy from people. like I said, I've scaled on Instagram to more than a million monthly views. I'm applying that same testing because we're going to win. I'm relentless and I will win across these platforms. Now that I understand it's a science, and if you were willing to put the time, the effort to understand it all, it's going to accelerate everything. So what I am doing, I am positioning myself so that my ideal clients are also my peers. I'm a founder, I'm building in public. That is exactly who I'm trying to show up for online. I'm a public face and can cater to speakers because these are all the experiences I'm going through myself. If I'm not going to sell a product that I don't believe in, and I believe in what I'm doing, and showing up online is the service I provide. I will be writing with a quarterly theme. I will decide each quarter to have some overarching umbrella of a theme, and then all content that goes out under my name brand will kind of be like the sprinkles on top, the additional little bits of value. But if it's not following this through line, if it's not consistent, you're going to confuse your audience and the algorithm. So to identify that takes some work, and it really does take time to figure out your niche and what you're writing for, and it's going to evolve. But if you pick one and you try it and you experiment, you see how it goes. So same with this. This is like the exposure effect. I'm done being anxious and sorry for posting the same things. You have to repeat yourself. You have to repurpose your content, the ones that win. And nobody remembers you anyway. Like I said, it takes 7 to 20 touch points to create that connection in our brain. Nobody cares about you, and that's liberating. Get out online and repeat yourself, maybe reformat it and change it up a bit. But you can, and you are allowed, and you should use your content and your knowledge more and more than once. And get text on every single visual. Like, I will put my hook on a visual with every single post. I will do it. I will do it. And I didn't write this here, but I am shooting for 6 posts a week. But I will not do that if I feel rushed, if I feel gross about it. But the only reason I can do that is because I'm converting energy put into multiple places and trickling that down using a system. Super awesome system that we're also building for fellow founders and speakers to plug into their world as well. If you're at all interested in that, definitely let me know. And then finally, I'm not here for virality. Truly, I want to be that slow and steady turtle that wins the race, because virality is a dopamine spike, but you have to create. That's a vanity metric. We're not worried about vanity metrics. Listen, my page has less than 1,000 followers. I've doubled it since July, basically doubled it since July, but your followers are a vanity metric. Your engagements are what matter. And this is where you can see I really started to pick it up, and it took a second. It got a little steeper. We've taken a break this December, but these engagements are what you need to be looking at. How are the people that are DMing you from your content? It's going to be slow. It's going to be less than once a week, then slowly once a week, then you're seeing more come in. But your main priority should be making friends, because those are the best people who are going to engage with you. This is my top performing post I wanted to share really quick. This is like a assumption, and we're flipping the assumption. So a lot of people kind of stay, you shouldn't work for free, you're valuable, all the things. But I wanted to share a situation where working for free was the best deal I ever made. And this is me talking about my short film, and it's kind of an underdog story, right? And I'm creating that resonance of me getting started and being young in the film world. It has something that's kind of like easy to skim, it's shareable, it's savable, and a lot of support is kind of in that journey. Like I said, I don't have many followers. I somehow have a full pipeline though. I don't have many post impressions, but because I've put this effort into this side of my business, I've learned in every avenue of my business, how to communicate, articulate what narratives are driving the sale on the call, wherever you are. So this is one of the greatest places for me to practice and create this consistency of like, hey, I'm going to tell myself I'm going to show up every day, even if it's bad. And that was great. But then it was time to pivot and get niche because it wasn't working. And that's the important thing. If you show up and you're relentless about winning, you will win if you're willing to see what works and what doesn't. So, I think that's basically it. If you want to follow along on the journey and find out more about the findings I am finding through my own little experiments and research, definitely give me a follow here. If you're looking for any of the other idea generations and results in a longer format, we've got the blog here, and we're always going to be doing a video format to each blog as well. So there you go. That's an inside look into the strategy. Definitely follow along and shoot me a message if this was helpful, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thank you so much. Link will be down below for this as well. Bye-bye.